Hey guys, welcome back to the YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be running through 6 of my favorite hidden features in the new iPhone 15 Pro Max, which I've been using for almost a month now. And the reason I'm saying these are secret features is because Apple didn't really mention them that much during their keynote, and in some cases they didn't even mention them at all. So yeah, without further ado, let's get straight into the video. So the first hidden feature Apple has given us across the entire iPhone 15 lineup is the ability to stop our phone from charging past 80%. So if we open the settings app, scroll down and open the battery page and select battery health and charging, and if we then go into charging optimization, we can see that Apple's now introduced a new 80% limit which stops your iPhone charging past 80%. And this is slightly different to the old optimized battery charging feature that was present in previous iPhone models. So with optimized battery charging, your iPhone simply slows down charging once it reaches about 80%, and only when it thinks you're not going to use the phone. So for example, if you're asleep from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. every night, it will slow down charging from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. and then from 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. it will quickly charge that extra 20% so that you wake up with a full charge. With the 80% limit, on the other hand, it's different because it's capping your battery percentage at 80% most of the time. And this will come in really handy when it comes to preserving your battery health. We generally know that it's best to keep your battery between 20 and 80% for the best longevity. And this helps us to achieve that. And of course, if you've got a long day planned and you need the full charge, you can always disable this anytime in settings. Personally, I'm not sure why Apple has kept this exclusive to the iPhone 15 series. I can't imagine that there's been any hardware upgrades to the battery specifically this year that's allowing them to achieve what is presumably just a software upgrade. In any case, the second hidden feature we have with the iPhone 15 series this year is USB-C. Okay, well, technically USB-C isn't a hidden feature since Apple did spend half of the event talking about it. But what was kept hidden is the fact that you can now connect external peripherals like a microphone or a webcam to your iPhone through the USB-C port. And in particular, you can now also connect your iPhone to external displays. So yeah, we've now got external display support on the iPhone. Still no Stage Manager or any Samsung DeX-like experience, so it will just mirror your display when you plug in the USB-C port. However, if you're watching a video on YouTube or a movie on Netflix, you can now stream that at 4K in 60 frames per second if your display supports it. And you can view things like photos and videos saved to your album. And you can even play games and turn your iPhone, if you wanted to, into a full-fledged gaming console. To be fair, you could do a similar thing with older iPhones. However, you need a Lightning to USB-C or a Lightning to HDMI adapter to support that. And it would only output videos at 1080p, whereas now we can achieve a better result through a single cable, which just allows for a much more cleaner setup. The third feature we have on our list is that the iPhone 15s now come with a new Snapdragon 5G modem, which is supposed to offer stronger data signals and be more efficient at the same time. And what this means for your day-to-day user experience is that you should experience less overheating when using your data, especially in lower signal areas, and there should be less battery drain overall. Because I often find that when connected to Wi-Fi, the iPhones are pretty good when it comes to battery life, but as soon as you start using your data, which typically happens when you're out and you need your battery to last the longest, your phone just kills straight through its charge. So hopefully this new chip should mitigate that. And from using this for a month and going out with it quite a lot, I have noticed this iPhone 15 Pro Max getting considerably less warm when on data compared to my old iPhone 14 Pro. Sure, some of that can be explained by the larger size, dissipating heat more easily, but I think the new 5G chip is also playing a big factor in that. Fourthly, on the iPhone 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max models, we now have an icon for the mute switch in our control center, just like how we have with the iPads. So if you want to customize the action button to something other than the mute switch, you can still have easy access to your sound through the control center, rather than having to dig deep into your settings and then into sound to find it. This feature is exclusive to the iPhone 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max models, and that's because the mute function is now being controlled exclusively by software now. Before, on the older iPhones, it was done via hardware, and so Apple couldn't really have used this button in Control Center, because if you were to toggle the mute switch on in Control Center, but the actual physical button is toggled off, it's not gonna sync together. Fifthly, we now have the ability to take 24 megapixel photos using our cameras. To be fair, this is something Apple did spend a bit of time covering. However, I don't think a lot of people have been covering this that much. On top of that, when shooting photos using the 48 megapixel camera, you now have the ability to shoot them in a HEIF Max format instead of ProRAW Max, which enables you to retain the 48 megapixel quality whilst using just a fraction of the storage space. Sure, you will lose a little bit of detail. So if you are taking professional photos for a living, you might want to stick to the old ProRAW setting. However, if you're just taking photos for the memories, I'd probably just stick to the HEIF 48 for all of your photos, because you're getting 99% of the quality benefits that the 48 megapixel sensor gives you without using up your entire storage. And you can easily flick between these modes in the camera app. So right now you can see that HEIF Max has a cross in it to indicate that I'm in my normal camera mode, which I've set to 24 megapixels, and these photos will take about 3 megabytes of data. If I tap on HEIF Max, the iPhone will now take photos in 48 megapixels at about 5 megabytes per photo. And if I hold on to HEIF Max for a few seconds, I can actually swap between the different RAW options. So if I want to take a 48 megapixel ProRAW image, I can still do so pretty easily through the camera app. Also, in the camera, you can actually change your default lens. So if you open settings, scroll down to the camera section, and then scroll down again to the main camera, you now have a choice between setting the 1x, the 1.2x, and the 1.5x lens as your default lens option. And these lenses are essentially trying to replicate what the 24, 28, and 35mm lenses found in traditional cameras would look like. Alternatively, you can also go into the camera, and if you tap on the 1x zoom button, you can also switch between these different lenses and choose the one that matches your own personal style. Technically, these aren't separate camera lenses. All Apple is doing is they're just using some fancy machine learning and the power of the A17 Pro chip to let you zoom in on the 48 megapixel lens to let you achieve something that looks like an optical zoom. Another battery feature exclusive to the iPhone 15s is that we now have the ability to check the number of charge cycles our iPhone has been through. So if you open settings, go into general and then about, when you scroll to the bottom, you'll see that we now get information about the manufacturer date, when the iPhone was first used, in addition to the phone's cycle count. So you can see here that I've gone through 29 cycles right now, which is kind of tantamount to me charging my iPhone from 0 to 100% 29 times over. Apple says that most iPhones should be able to retain 80% of their charge capacity after about 500 cycles. So you can see that I'm already over 5% of the way there after a month of use, which is slightly worrying. Anyways, that brings us to the end of this video. Let me know in the comments down below, did you find any of these hidden features useful? If you found this video helpful, please do leave us a like down below. It helps this channel grow a ton. And if you'd like to see more content like this in the future, hit subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.